Dayanom and Aleph, the Mishnah. That goes quickly. You have the Mishnah? 27a. Okay. Ir shekavshu Karkum. Near a city that was under siege by Goyim, and that was conquered. So what normally happens when the men come in? They rape the women. So a woman who was raped normally is permitted to her husband. What about if she's the wife of a Kohen and she's raped by anybody? She's not permitted to the cousin. We don't know factually. All the Kohanos, the wives of Kohanim that are found in the community, are what? They're defiled, considered defiled for their husbands. What about if they're witnesses who testify that they were not raped? Afilu eved, afilu shivcha. Even if it's a slave who normally is not believed. Afilu shivcha, hareil nemonim, they're believed. Vein nemon or liyatz, but a person to say, the woman to testify on her own behalf, or the husband on her behalf, not believed. Remini, or reminu. So the Mishnah says, karkum, that if you have a siege was laid, then they conquered the city, all the women are forbidden. We learned, Baleshi Shaboliyir, you found marauders, they came to a city. B'shah Shalom, if it's not a time of war, and they went through a city, Chavios Psuchos Asuras, if you have open barrels of wine, what is it? They're Asur. Mean for Yain Nesach, of course we say that since the barrel's open, they swished around, and they caused it to be Nesach. Stumos, but the barrels that are sealed, Mutaros, they're permitted. B'shas Milchama, what about a time of war? Because they're running through, if they're running for their lives, they have no time to be distracted. Elevei Mutaros, even the open barrels of wines are permitted. The open barrels are permitted. Why? The fish ain't Penai Lenasek, since they have war on their mind. It's a time of war, they're running through. So if that's the case, so why over here when they laid siege and then they captured a city, it's a time of war. It's a time of war. Evidently, they have no time to do anything other than war. Omer of Mori livelish penai, nasrein penai, meaning the desire to have a sexual relationship that's so overwhelming that even time of war, if they could have relations, they'll have relations. Meaning to be menasech, to swish the wine, to be an act of libations that they won't do. Rashi says, the takav le yitzrayu, the Yetzirah for znus is overwhelming. Omer Rav Mori, Omer Rav Yitzchok, Barabelozim Shemay Dechizki Omer, no. Kan bekarkum shalos malchus, kan bekarkum shal malchus acheres. Yiddish. Meaning, there's a difference if the ones who laid siege are from of this kingdom or another kingdom. If it's from the same kingdom, the way Rashi learns, so because they want to live in peace with their people, they're not going to rape the women. That's the reason why the women are permitted. But that it says that they're not permitted, it's a foreign element. If it's a foreign element, then they'll what? They'll do everything to plunder, rape, and everything else. Okay, if it's a siege of that kingdom, so because they want their citizenry to be intact, not to be hurt and damaged, so the women are not defiled. Even from that malchus, even though they don't want, but because it's a question of sex, it's inevitable that some of the soldiers are going to rape women. So if that's the case, why do we differentiate? They station sentries to guard the people that they shouldn't be defiled. So but the sentries, they doze off. So it's inevitable, since the men, they want to have relations with the women, and the sentries don't, they doze off under their watch. So again, it's not 100%. They put chains around the city where the women are, here. The kalben, dogs, the gavza, and sticks, the avza, and ducks. And therefore, if anybody should go there, the chain starts rattling, the dogs start barking, the ducks start quacking. Therefore, it's like setting off an alarm system. Therefore, that's what it's speaking about. So therefore, it's impossible that any of the women were defiled. In regard to this, this argument over here, whether we say we were concerned whether they were raped or not, meaning whether they were the army of that community, of that kingdom, is a machlokes of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi and Rabbi Charoma kan bekarkum shalosa malchus kan bekarkum shamalchus acheres lokasha lei v'lo midi. That's how we reconcile the Mishnah with the Brisa. That the Brisa says there's not a concern. V'chad kasha lekolhani, and one asked all the questions. Mishani gon de mahadale lamaso shushilta v'kalba v'gabsa v'asan. The other one answered the reason why the women are permitted is because they put a chain around that location, and there were dogs and wood and all kinds of things, which would be the equivalent of setting off an alarm. Omer Avidi Barovin, Omer Rabbi Yitzchok Barashion. Listen to this. What happens? In this community, there was a bunker. And it was possible for the women to hide in the bunker that they should be raped. So since we're able to say the women may have hidden the bunker, they'll be permitted in that situation. Even though we don't know, but since that is a possibility, firstly, it's a question that maybe they weren't raped. And if they hid in the bunker, they definitely were not raped because they were in hiding. So he says, if there's one bunker, that protects all the Kohanis to retain their permitted status. Boy, Rav Yirmiyah. So Rav Yirmiyah posed a question, even though you have that bunker of hiding, what about if the bunker only has a capacity, only one woman could hide there, not more, and you have, let's say, 100 women in the community. So the bunker could only be what is only sufficient for one. Is that enough to protect, that we give them all a permitted status or not? Do we say since each woman could say, I hid there, so therefore each one's able to retain her presumed status that she's permitted? Or do we say no, since it's only for one, therefore we see them all defiled? What's the halacha if you have two paths, two roads? One road had a corpse on it, the other road didn't have a corpse on it. And two people walked the roads, and each one comes and asks a Shiloh that they walked the road which had the corpse on. And it's not, we don't know which one. And each one walked the road, a different road, and each one was engaged in something of spiritual purity. If each one came to ask the Shiloh independently, we rule, even though one of them is definitely Tomei, but since each one has a Chazokah, we say that they're both Torah, they're both pure. Shneim Kachas, if they both show up in Bezdin and ask the question simultaneously, Tmeos, Rabbi Yosef Beikach or Beikach Tmein. No, that we say that either way, whether they come simultaneously or not, the Tmeim. If they both come to ask the question simultaneously, the Bezdin will rule they're both contaminated. If they come consecutively, everybody agrees that Torah, because each one has a cheskes taro, each one has a presumed status he was not contaminated. He came to ask a question about himself and his friend. Even though his friend didn't come, he says, look, I walked one path, my friend walked the other path. What's my status? What's the other person's status? One compares that case as if they both showed up at the same time to ask the question of Bezdin. The other one says, no, it's the equivalent of them coming not simultaneously. It's our situation. Since we're going to permit all the women, if there was this one bunker, so that would be the equivalent of all of them coming to ask the Shiloh at one time. Or it's not comparable. Over there, one path, one road definitely had the corpse on it. So if you ask the Shiloh at one time, that person is definitely Tomei. But over here, even if they ask at the same time, it's not definite they were raped. Maybe one of them wasn't. Maybe they weren't raped, even though the marauders, they came into the city. Okay, now a Shiloh. Boy Ravashi. Now, if, let's say there was we're ruling now, if there's a bunker, what's the halacha? They're pure. What about if one comes and tells us, I was not in the bunker, but I wasn't raped? If she remained silent, we'd say she was hidden in the bunker. But if she says openly, she says, I was not in the bunker, but I wasn't raped, do we believe her or not? That's the Shiloh. Boy Ravashi. Omra lo nichbeis lo nemesimau mi amrinon. Do we say, Mali l'shaker, she has a miguk. Believe me that I wasn't raped, because I could have said, I could have said I was in the bunker. O Dilma lo aminon, or maybe we don't say. So Mar says, listen to the story. There was an incident. Person rented a donkey to his friend. And he said to the person, I don't want you to take the donkey on the road which is called Nar Pakod, where the river of Pakod runs, because there's water there, and if you go there, the donkey could drown. Zil Barucha de Nirash. The Lekamai. Go to the road of Nirash, another road, because there's no water there. I don't want you to go the road of Nar Pakod because there's water. Take the other road, the other route, there's no water. The man didn't listen, and he went and took the route of Nar Pakod, Umis Chamra. And when he went there, the donkey died. You hear this? Ostkami de Rava, and he came before Rava. Now the Shaila is, seemingly he's liable. Right, because the one who rented him the donkey says, don't take that route because there's water there. He went there. He says, it's true, I did go that route. But factually, there was no water. Although the man instructed not to go because there's water, but I'm telling you, there wasn't water there. But the man has a migu. The person could have said, believe me, there was no water, because I could have said I went the other route. I could have, if I wanted to be dishonest, I could have said, I took the other route as you instructed me. Fine. I wouldn't have to pay a penny. Here, I'm being honest to tell you I took the road you told me not to take, but I'm telling you there's no water there. So the question, do I believe you that there was no water? Don't I believe you there's no water? Rabbi says, Mali l'shak mokamedim lo. So he says, because the Migu is going against fact. Fact is, it's unheard of, there's no water in that other location. Migu, believe me this, that there was no water. But factually, there's always water there. So to believe is something which is so far-fetched. Even though you have a Migu, I don't believe it. So here, the same thing. If a woman is not in hiding, what's the likelihood of not being raped? She's raped. She'll be raped. So the same thing. Over there, we know factually there's water. So you want a Migu to be believed, we don't believe you. Here also, Mara says, no, it's not comparable. Factually, there's water there. There's water out there. And I told you not to go there. Over here, do we say she definitely was raped? Even if she wasn't in the bunker, we're not saying she was definitely raped. There's a likelihood she was raped. We're speaking about, so it's a migu with it. So the migu tells me she wasn't raped. If she's in the bunker, she definitely wasn't raped. If she's not in the bunker, she's not definitely raped. There's a strong possibility she was raped, but it's not definitely raped. So since she has a migu to say that she could have said she was in the bunker and that she wasn't raped, she's believed to say she wasn't raped when she was out of the bunker. But over there, if she took the path where there's water, you want me to believe there was no water? That's unheard of, because factually, you know there's usually water there. It says if the witnesses, even if the witnesses normally don't qualify as witnesses, the man's a slave or he's a maidservant, the woman's a maidservant, and she says, I know the woman was not raped, we believe them. What about it's her personal servant? It's her maidservant. You'd say maybe it's her personal maidservant. The maidservant will lie on behalf of her mistress, right? Mehemdo seems to be from the Mishnah. Even if it's her personal maidservant, she's believed. Raminu, it says, now the halacha is like this. If a man divorces his wife, he still holds, and then he gives her a get, and then afterwards the man sequesters himself on his wife. If he has relations with his wife, the get is considered rabbinically invalidated. Of course, you never know. When he had relations, maybe he thought he wants to marry her again, so the get is not a valid get. But let's say she has a slave saying, I was there, and he didn't have relations with her. Even though they sequestered themselves, I know they didn't have relations. Do you believe the slave? Don't you believe the slave? So it says, as long if they're edim, you have afilu api eved, afilu api shivcha, chutz mi shivchoso. Except, but if it's her shivcha, it's her maidservant, you don't believe. Neishli begaspa. 1 second. Because we say a woman's not going to have relations in the presence of her slave. But what about if it's her own maidservant? The level of relationship is so close, she'll have relations with her husband even in the presence of the slave woman. Omer of Popi, Bishwiya Kilu. Not comparison. This is, we're talking about, this is the equivalent of a captive. Rav Papa, Maho, B'shivchadido, B'shivchadidei. There's a difference whether it's her slave or his slave. V'shifchli dolo mehemno. But it's her slave, she's not believed. Hoktoni ein odem meyid alatzmo shifchli do mehemno. It says a woman's not believed to testify about herself that she wasn't raped. But it seems about her slave would be believed. On that, the Gemara says, Shivchosa nami katzman dami. Her slave and herself, they're synonymous. Ravashia mahobaho b'shivchli do. V'shivchod mersa chazio v'shosko. Hostem shtikusa matiroso. Lo mehemno. Ocho shtikusa usrosa mehemno. He says the difference is this. There, he may have had relations with his wife in the presence of there she's silent. She'll remain silent. But here the slave is coming to testify that she was not defiled. Even if it's her slave, the slave's not going to lie. You understand? To have relations in the presence of your slave because of the closeness of relationship, he'll have relations in the presence of her slave. But in terms of the slave testifying, regardless of the relationship, she's not going to lie. Okay, again. We're talking about it's her slave. She'll see him have relations. She'll remain silent. Over there, that the silence will permit her. She's not believed. But over here, remaining silent, she's forbidden. So therefore, now she speaks. We say, but maybe she'll lie. She'll lie on behalf of her mistress. We say a woman's not going to lie. The slave's not going to lie. Listen to the story. There was this person, Mori Barisik. That was his name. Rav Acha came back from overseas, and this Mori Barisik, he claims, was his brother. Mori Barisik's father went overseas with his brother, comes back, and he says, I'm your brother. Therefore, I have a right to divide the estate with you. Our father's estate. So Mori Barisik says to this man who claims to be his brother, he says, I don't know who you are. So they came before Rav Chisda. He says, what he's saying is, he's saying correctly. It says, Yosef recognized his brothers, but they didn't recognize him. Why? Because when Yosef was sold into slavery, he didn't have a beard. And later he had a beard. So Rav Chisda said, bring witnesses to prove that you're what? That you're his brother. He says, I have witnesses. This Achu came from what's his name? From Bechuzah, the brother. He says, they're afraid to testify because this man is a strong-armed man and he'll threaten them. Okay? So he says to Mori Barisik, I want you to bring witnesses that he's not the brother. So Mori Barisik says to Rav Chisda, this is the halacha. I mean, he wants to take money from me. Why should I have to bring proof that he's not my brother? That's the way I judge all these strong-armed people, where they threaten others. So Mori says, Hashnami Yosef Mishakri. She says, but good, so now he's going to prove witnesses, they're going to lie. They're going to say, so on that verse, Tati Lo Abdi, they're not going to do that. To do two things, right? That they're not going to do. They're not going to lie and say that he's not the brother. That they won't do. Yeah. Firstly, not to say the truth, and secondly, to lie. That they won't do. It says, this is the testament, a man, a woman, a child, male, female, when they're children, they're believed. But they're all believed, but what about her own son or own daughter? Not her slave, male slave, not her female slave. The Ravashi, the Rav Popi, the Rav Ravashi Tanoi. The Rav Popi Milem Tanoi, Omalach Rav Popi Kitanya, he b'mesich levituma. It's not speaking where openly testify, she's just telling over a story. Kiho Chioso, Rav Dimi, Omar, Rav Chonon, Kartigno, Mishtoi, Maisa Bo Lifnei, Reb Shua ben Levi. There was a story that happened before Reb Shua ben Levi, Reb Shua ben Levi, Mishtoi, Maisa Bo Lifnei, Rebbe. But the person was telling over a story. Me and my mother were taken captive among the goyim. When I went to draw water, I was focused on my mother. Like it ate him, and when I went to gather wood, my mind was on my mother. So because it wasn't direct testimony, it was only through Masech Vituma. I'll give you an example. The halacha is a goy is not believed. Let's say you want. Normally, if let's say milk falls into meat, so what ratio do you need? 60 to 1. Let's say you're not sure if there was 60 to 1, and you get an expert, a goy expert taster. He said, "Could you please taste this?" And he knows why you're asking him. He's not believed. What about you say, by the way, how would you like to taste something? But you don't tell him it's a halacha question. And then you say to him, by the way, how does it taste? But you're not asking him within a halacha context. He says, by the way, it tastes a little funny. Taste has like a slight milk taste. Okay, then it's milk. What about if he says, tastes fine, tastes just like meat? Then you believe him. If you ask him direct, could you please taste that one? If it tastes like from milk or not, he tells you it does not have milk taste. You cannot believe him. But if you ask him just in passing, could you please taste it? I just want to know, does it taste right or off? Then you could rely on him. Same thing here. One's son, one's daughter, you cannot believe that her mother was not defiled. What about if the child is telling over a story? We were taken captive. I went to draw water. I was always concerned my mother. I always made sure that nothing would happen to her. No guy touched her. So he's not telling it within the context because he wants to permit his mother to a Kohen. That's not what the story is. It's purely he's telling us a story. How dedicated he was to his mother. In that case, we believe the son, we believe the daughter. But if it's direct testimony, they say, we need testimony, was the woman defiled, and the son wants to testify on behalf of his mother, or a daughter on behalf of the mother, then we don't believe them. Okay, similar to the case of the goy. It's called Masiach Lefi Tuma. The person speaks in his innocence. That's what it is. Okay, now we're doing today's blot. Start. Amar Reb Zachariah ben Akatzov. Hamon Hazer. Reb Zachariah ben Akatzov says, I take an oath, I swear. Lo zoze yoda mitoch yodi, mishor shnichnus ovdi kochavim, Yushalayim, ad sheyotzu. Reb Zachariah ben Akatzov was the husband. And he says, I swear, my hand never left the hand of my wife during the whole time when the Goyim came into Yerushalayim. So therefore she was not raped. Okay, and he was a Kohen. This Reb Zachariah ben Akatzov was a Kohen. Omru lo, so the Chum said, "Ein odom ein al atzmo." You're not believed. The husband's not believed to say his wife was not raped because this is what direct testimony. It's not believed. V'aval pikein tana aval pikein yichad lo bayis b'chatzero. So Chazal said he's not permitted to his wife. But because they have a relationship, let's be concerned that if they live within proximity one another, he may visit her and have relations with her. Nevertheless, we learned the aval pikein yichad lo bayis b'chatzero. They allowed him to designate a residence for her, although it was in the same courtyard where he lived. Listen to the story. When she would go out of the courtyard, her children, which they both had, the children from both of them, the children would separate between her and her husband. There was always a distance between the two of them. When she would come into the courtyard, there was always the children separated between herself and her husband. Okay? She would come in at the end. What about a woman's divorcee? Man divorces his wife. Is he permitted to have her live in the same courtyard with the husband? Yeah? A Kohen who divorces his wife, so once she's divorced, he can have be with her again. Do we allow a Kohen to be in the same courtyard with his wife? Why over there we more lenient? Because there it wasn't absolutely clear that she was defiled. The Goyim came in, so rabbinically there's a rabbinic stringency. We say you're not permitted to be with your wife. What about if he divorced her? That's a Torah violation. Maybe when it's a definite Torah violation, we wouldn't even allow him to be within the same courtyard. Even though the children are there, we don't want to take any chance. If it's a rabbinic stringency, we allow, as long as they keep the distance, it's okay. But a grusha, which is definitely a Torah violation, Aval hocho, lo, odilma lo shno, we don't differentiate. Toshma, the Tanya, Magarish Ishto lo sinose, bishchunos, a man who divorces his wife, he should not live within his neighborhood. V'mhoya kohen, lo sodor imo b'movud. Yeah? Even if she doesn't get married, he should not live in the same courtyard with her. V'mhoya kfar koton, what about if it's a small village? Zayim masvamer kfar koton niden kishchuna. A small village, we see it as like the same neighborhood. So let's say you have two people. A man divorces his wife, they're living in the same community. Who moves out? Does the husband have to move out or the wife has to move out? Who do we force to move out of the neighborhood? To give up their residence? The husband or the wife? Toshma, Titanya, he nidches miponov. She's pushed out because of him, vein hu nidche miponer. But he's not forced out of the community because of her. She has to move out, he doesn't have to move out. What if she owned the courtyard? Let's say he was living in her residence. It's her courtyard. Who nidche miponer? Then if she owns the residence, then he's forced to move out. Iboilu. What about if they both own it in partnership? It's jointly owned. The courtyard is owned both by the husband and wife. Which one has to leave? The husband or the wife? Toshma, he nidches miponov. It says, we learned before, that if they're both there, she is pushed out. What do we speak? If he owns the courtyard, pshit, it's understood. Evidently, it's her courtyard. The Gemara says it can't be. We said if she owns the courtyard, he's forced to leave if she owns the courtyard. If it's her residence. So what must we speak about? It's jointly owned. When it's jointly owned, she has to move out. Gemara says no. The argument make it. Maybe they're renting it. Neither owns it, and they're both renting it. My havilo. So what's that? Lo we learned in the Bryce. It says, "Hine Hashem betaltaloch tiltalo gever." I will remove you. This is the Navi comes and says, when you go into Golus, it'll be a removal like a man is removed from his location. The Gemara shows from here, a man to move is much more difficult than a woman. In terms of a traumatic experience, a man, once he's in a location, he sets down his roots. If you make him move, it's much more traumatic than if a woman moving. A woman can move more easily, like a woman gets married. She goes where the husband is. A man to uproot himself, it's very difficult. So therefore, since it's more difficult for a man to change his location than a woman, therefore, if they rent the residence together, who do you make move? The woman moves, not the man. Because it's more traumatic for the man to leave his location than a woman to leave her location. It's an emotional makeup. It's the psyche of a man versus the psyche of a woman. No, it has nothing to do with learning. Learning, nothing. This man never opened a book in his life. It's just the makeup. Toner Abonon. Love a man of benichsi avio. What about he borrowed from her? She had nichsim. Look, he borrowed from her. And now, is she permitted to go collect the debt from him? This is where they were married before. And let's say she's a married woman now. Because she was married, she goes collect the debt. We're afraid that something may happen between the two of them. You know, she's a married woman now. When she collects the debt, she has to send an agent to collect the debt. She cannot go herself. If they come before me before the court, I don't allow them to come together. Yeah? I do not allow them to come together. Because he's afraid that since they know one another, they may wink to one another. There may be certain, some level of nuance of relationship which could lead to something no good. Rav Papa ma shamuti shamtinlu. If they come, if they have anything with one another, I put them in cherem. You hear this? Rav Huna ma braid or Rav Yeshua ma nagude nami magdinalu. I give them malchus. She's a married woman today. You know, today in today's society, you know what goes on. People are divorced, married, and then they socialize. The ex-wife was another man's wife. They socialized with the ex-husband. Because they were once involved together, do you know what could happen? They could end up together. You know, they could have relations together. So therefore, Rav Papa would actually excommunicate them if they would do this. And Rav Huna would give him malchus. Rav Bevu Rabosi. We learned in Evu Rabosi, Rashi says it's Mesechus Smochos, Medvar Mushin is Garshim and Anusuin. When don't we allow them to have anything to do with one another? That means they were fully married. That means they cohabited together, and then they got divorced. So because they had an intimacy together, we're afraid it could be renewed. Now she's married to another man. Avol, Nisgarshim, and Ersin, let's say they were never intimate together. There was just Kedushin, he divorced her. Then she could collect herself. Why? She leave gospel because they never had an intimate relationship. This woman and her ex-husband. If they were fully married, since there was intimacy, we're afraid that intimacy may be renewed when she's married to another man. But if he divorced her after Kedushin, they were never intimate, we're not concerned that anything will happen. Listen to the story. This person who was married to a woman, only Kedushin, not Nesuin, they came before Rava. Yosef Rav Ado Bar Masta Kamei, Uki Rav Shlucha B'Intayu. Rav Ado Bar Masta was before there, and he made sure that they shouldn't interact, the two of them. You hear this? Although they never were intimate with one another. This is the story, you hear? They came before Rava, and Rava did not allow them to interact with one another. He had an agent between them. Amalei Rav Ado Bar Masta, Omar Rav Nachman, Tona Beivo Rabosi. He says, but we learn Eivor Rabbos, that's only one. Are we concerned? They may have to do with one, only if they were intimate at one time. But here, these people, they were never fully married. Omalei, so Rava says, listen to this. Even though they weren't intimate, but I saw there was a certain familiarity they had between the two of them, and because of that, I was concerned it could lead to something no good. Even though they weren't physically intimate together, but since there was a certain familiarity between the two of them, therefore I made sure to separate them. Even though the Oris and the Arusa, he had an agent between two of the Amalei Ravad Varmasna Nekum Mar Shlucha Beintayu. He says, V'omar Rav Nachman Tona Avur Rabosi Amalei Hani Milhech Lo Gaisi Adori Avul Hani Ke Chasinu Gaisi Adori. That's the reason why I had a shliach between them, an agent between them. Yeah. Rav originally didn't. Rav Nachman said, Amalei Rav Nekum Mar Shlucha Beintayu. Amalei Rav Nachman said not. He says, because I see there's a problem, therefore we should have an agent. Okay. No, this has nothing to do with a Kohen. This is two people married who are intimate. Now there's a question. There's a debt, and one wants to go collect the money from the other. They have to be arm's length. We don't want anything to do with the two of them. Should be involved together. So today, unfortunately, is this abided by? You know, they'll meet at a wedding. They'll sit them at the same table unless they hate one another. You know, it was an amicable divorce. In the meantime, she married somebody else. How do you let them get together again? You know? Right, because she's divorcing. We're afraid of... We're concerned, but what happens if she became a married woman? Then it's a problem. Serious problem. Okay. Now, normally, if a person originally on a Torah level, if somebody witnessed something when he's a child, let's say a child witnessed Reuven lending Shimon money, and now he's an adult, could he testify now as an adult something that he had witnessed when he was a child? If it's a Torah testimony, he's not. A witness is only believed if he witnessed it as an adult. If he witnessed it as a child, although today's an adult, he cannot testify on something he saw when he was an adult. Okay? So, but where you need rabbinic testimony, then we rely on testimony of an adult, although the origin of the testimony was when he was a child. Okay? Now, we spoke earlier, you have a document. A document before you carry, a financial document, before you collect, it has to be certified that it's not a forgery. Correct? We had earlier. Remember? It's rabbinical. That certification, on the Torah level, you have a document. If there's no reason to suspect that it's a forgery, it's a viable document. It's viable. Rabbinically, they said it has to be certified, substantiated, before you collect with it. So since that's only a rabbinic testimony, so we believe a child to say, that was the handwriting of my father. That's my father's handwriting. Nemar Od Loma Zeksav Yodo Shel Abo. Zeksav Yodo Shel Rebbe, where he says, he remembered how his Rebbe would sign his signature. That's the signature of my Rebbe. Although what's the origin of that testimony? When he was a child. Zeksav Yodo Shel Ochi. Yeah, that's the handwriting of my brother. Zocha Yisi B'Ploni Shiotz B'Emuna Beinuma V'Rosh. Remember we had earlier, there's a question if a woman, her ksub is 200 or 100. So we said if she went out with a veil and her hair went down to her shoulders, that was an indication that she was a psula. She was a virgin, and she collects the ksub as 200. That's purely rabbinical. Why? Because the Gemara is going to say since the majority of women when they get married are virgins, so therefore we believe him. Although the origin of he was a child, he says, I remember when I was a child at the wedding. I remember she went out with a veil and her hair went down to her shoulders. Shahoya ishploni yotzi beis hasefer litbol lechel betruma. Shecholi imoro beis hagoren. V'mokam is a beis pras. Beis pras means we'll see. Let's say you have a grave that was plowed through. So if the plow went over a grave, we're concerned that bone fragments strewn all over the location. So there's a halacha, if a Kohen goes there, on a Torah level, he's not contaminated. Because we say the body, the skeleton was shattered into small bones, so therefore, if you go, you don't contaminate if you go over the grave. A body only contaminates if you have the majority of the bones in one location. No, if you touch it. But it's not oil. The other, if you go over the grave, even if you don't, let's say it's embedded in the earth. Right? So going over it won't contaminate because they're only bone fragments. Okay, so we'll see. The majority of the corpse or the skull and the spine has to be in one location. Okay, Hamokam Azeh, Beis Pras, Ad Kan Hoyiru Bon Bishab. What about Tchum Shabbos? Person says, I remember when I was a child, the city limits were there. But he's testifying something, the origin of his recollection was when he was a child. Aval Ein, Odem Nemaloma Derech Hoyev Ploni, B'Mokum Hazeh. So he says, I remember this person had an easement going through the property. That's a regular monetary testimony. Maimiru Mispir Hoyev Ploni B'Mokum Hazeh. A person had a right to say eulogies here. That's monetary, I believe. Omer Rapuna Breder B'Shua. Hu Sheish God Limo. When is he believed? If he has another person together with him. Okay? He has another adult person. Shricha. So what do we have all the cases? It says, he testified this was my father's signature, my Rebbe's signature. Why do we believe him to testify when he's adult about his father's signature? Because he always sees his father's signature. Avarabalo, how often do you see your Rebbe sign? Right? You saw it not as often as the father's. Since he has a certain reverence for the teacher, when he saw the signature, he was more focused. The father, because he was exposed to it many times, he saw his father's signature. Because he has reverence and therefore he focused. But regarding his brother, where he doesn't have neither, he doesn't see his brother sign that often, or he doesn't have the reverence. Since substantiating a document is purely rabbinical, so therefore, since it's only a rabbinic testimony, therefore they believe the child to testify as an adult something that he saw when he was a child. As an adult, he says, I remember when I was a child, I was at the wedding, I saw her go out with a veil, and her hair was exposed. My time, even though it's collecting a ksuba, it's a monetary claim. Since the majority of women, when they marry as virgins. It's only revealing something that you don't need something which is bona fide testimony. Good question. Maybe he was a slave. Eved Kohen, maybe he was the slave of a Kohen. How could you testify he's a Kohen? Maybe he's the slave of a Kohen. The slave of a Kohen is permitted to eat truma. It's Avda Torah. He says he saw him coming out of elementary, learning from Beis Sefer. You're not permitted to teach your slave Torah. We learned in the Brisa, Lovimenu Rabo, that if his Rebbe borrowed from him, so he made him a guardian. Okay? Or the person put on tefillin before his Rebbe. O shekor shel shepsuk b'saknesu, so he got an aliyah. He called him for an aliyah. Hareza lo yetzel lecherus. It says he cannot be freed. That's not sufficient reason for him to be emancipated. So what does it say clearly? Right? Hosem di ikri eved midaito ki kaminut konog be'minig bonim. I mean, there we're talking about a person who's got an aliyah doesn't mean he's not a slave. But here we're talking about the person was treated like a son. If a man treats a person like a son, he took him out of Beis Sefer. I mean, he's educating him like a regular child. Then we say he's a Kohen, and we don't say he's a slave who happened to have been learning Torah. Litvo lechel b'truma d'Rabbanan. Shechol kibon alagoren, he divided with us in the granary, the Dilma Evet Koinu, Tanan command the Yomai Cholkin Truma Evet, Ken Rabbi Imo. It's going according to the opinion that you don't allow an Evet to receive Truma unless his master's with him, the Tanya, and Cholkin Truma Evet El Ken Rabbi Imo, Div Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi Yochalu, Shomim Kohen Ani Tinuli Bishvulatzmi. He could say, if I'm a Kohen, give me my portion for myself. Im Evet Kohen Ani Tinuli Bishvul Rebbe. Kovish Rabbi Yehuda Himalim Mitruma Liyuchsin. Rabbi Yehuda, they would not allow a Kohen, a person, unless it was proven he was a Kohen, to receive the Truma. They would if a person received Truma, they would elevate him to Yuchsim, Mikosher Rabbi Yossi, because they would give a slave, although his master was with him. They would not, that wouldn't be sufficient proof that he's a kosher Jew. Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, Omer Rabbi Loza, Rabbi Yossi, Miyomai Luhadhi Pamachas. He says, Miyomai Lohiarati. He says, Rabbi Yossi says, Omer Rabbi Loza, Rabbi Yossi, Miyomai Lohiarati. I never gave testimony. Pamachas Hiarati Velu Eved Lakuna Alpi. But the one time I did offer testimony, they elevated a slave to Kuna. Somewhere says, we say an animal that belongs to a tzaddik, Hashem doesn't allow a tragedy to come about through it. Al Yodam tzaddikim atzlo koshkem. Is it possible that Rabbi Loza, Rabbi Yossi was a tzaddik, that as a result of his testimony they elevated an evet to be a kohen? Elabikshu lalos evet lakun al pi. But they attempted to, it didn't work. Chazah b'asir Rabbi Yossi v'oz la'asid b'asir Rabbi Yehuda. What happened? It happened in the community of Rabbi Yossi, and then he wanted to testify in the location of Rabbi Yehuda. Remember we had before. Rabbi Yossi says, because they would allow a slave to receive Truma, it wasn't a proof that he was a kosher Jew. He could have been a slave. Rabbi Yehuda, they would not give a Kohen Truma in the granary unless it was proven that he was a Kohen. So what happened was, he saw it in the community of Rabbi Yossi, and he wanted to testify in the community of Rabbi Yehuda. Just go a little further. Yeah, Beis HaPras. Might the Beis HaPras Drabonon, it's all rabbinical. The Omer of Yehuda Meshvum and Nafechot the Beis HaPras v'holich. Yeah, what's going on over here? Let's say, I told you, they plowed through a grave, and you have bone fragments. Now a person has to go through the Korban Pesach. So he has to go through the field. So he gets down on his hands and knees, and he blows away the dust, little by little, to make sure that there's no bone fragments in this path that he's taking. As long as it doesn't come in direct contact with the bone. So, but how does he know? It's under the dust. Maybe Slahev's dust, they'll be stepping on the bone fragment. So what is it? He blows away the dust. That was plowed through his Torah, my timer. Because the small bone fragment, it was trampled and already was pressed into the ground, and you don't have to be concerned that, 1 second. Yeah. Adkan hoyinubon b'shabes ksav tchum drabon. Why does he believe? Because tchum is drabon in the city. Ein nemon lomar derech hoy leploin mokam azer. Maimen u'misper hoy leploin mokam my time afukim on mafkinim. Because based on his testimony, you can't extract money. Man claims the man has an easement going through a field. Ton rabonon neman atinuk lomar kachom aliyabo b'shivcha zu Torah. B'shivcha zu tmeyo. Okay, we'll stop here. Okay, almost did.